Hello, this is Dr. Tay, and today's episode is on Maitake mushrooms. Maitake in Japanese, it means the dancing mushroom. And here goes today. So I literally had this mushroom last night. I was at a hot pot restaurant with my office manager and the people that I work with, and we went to hot pot. And I don't know if you guys been there, but you go there and you sit down, you order your broth, and they're usually my first go-to is grab as much as mushrooms as I can. So this way, I don't have to order a mushroom soup. I make my own on top of the thing. Just for your reference, I had the dashi for the umami flavor. And the first thing I do, I just cook a lot of the mushrooms. And I think definitely Maitake mushrooms was there last night. And mushrooms in general, the chi, the energy of it, is that it grows in a dark, dingy place, sometimes sunny, but it soaks up a lot of moisture, especially in the heat, and that's how mushrooms are able to grow. And because it has that factor, it soaks up dampness, and dampness in Eastern medicine is said to be, one might say, excess fluids or mucus that accumulates in your system, like cholesterol. Another way we'll be looking at it is the extra lymphatic system that is not being properly drained or pooling, or mucus. So the term dampness in Eastern medicine can literally mean many things, including dampness itself. And because mushrooms has a tendency to soak up um, the dampness out of your body, as your body is circulating these things, it has a lot of effect. And one of the things that it has is that is very antioxidant, especially maitake mushrooms, beta-glucans, vitamin B, C's, copper, potassium, fiber, minerals, and amino acids. And one thing good about it is that it's fat-free, low sodium, low calorie, and cholesterol free. So mushrooms is really good for ketogenic foods. And what I recommend people to do is don't just get maitake mushrooms if you're going out there. Get the enoki mushrooms that look like little long things and put it in your soup, whatever soup that you're making or whatever pasta you're making. And just incorporate a lot more mushrooms in your daily eating. And this will help you have not just these things that I talk about, but also vitamin D. Mushrooms are generally high in vitamin D. I'm sure, does maitake mushrooms have it? I'm sure it does. Now we're going to look at several studies. Here is from libertpub.com. And it is already known that maitake mushrooms is involved in stimulating the immune system and activating certain cells that attack cancer, including macrophages, T cells, natural killer cells. So once again, cancer cells, or what might call them zombie cells in the body, they're mutated and they feed off of sugar. And the chi, again, once again, it eats up the dampness, so it competes to do that. So that's one way to have less cancer cells. But more importantly, mushrooms are known to stimulate a lot of strong immune system to get rid of these things. So if one was to go through autophagy is when you fast for a long time and your immune system is going around putting biomarkers. It has the ability to for your immune systems to take care of the cells that are mutated or irregular cells, or aka cancer cells. And if you were to go through I don't know, time restricted eating, let's say about going 16 hours or 18 hours of not eating, and all of a sudden you decide to eat, and all of a sudden you decide to eat a lot of mushrooms with that food that you're consuming to break your fast, this would further help bring down cancer cells. So it's a great way to supplement that. And this another article is on Maitake mushrooms, on plasma and cholesterol and hepatic gene expression in cholesterol-fed mice. And basically, yeah, we're all mammals, and you got to work your chain up to eventually, work your way up. But it has been known to lower cholesterol, um, and once again, dampness. Cholesterol. I said in the beginning that it was dampness, and mushrooms has the ability to lower that. And in mice studies, it shows that it does exactly that. Next one is it helps with type 2 diabetes and induce altercations in immunocytic function. Type 2 diabetes, type 2 is usually dietary. Type 1 is genetic diabetes. People who are born with type 1 diabetes, it's just that their body is not producing insulin properly. Type 2 diabetes are people who eat who consume lots of soda in their diet or eat fatty foods, and after eating a heavy meal they eat desserts. That's how you get diabetes. So people who like desserts after eating a big meal, it should not be with every meal that you go to the restaurant. Maybe once in a while, like Thanksgiving, that's okay, but doing this on every meal where you got to have desserts, that's a recipe for disaster. um, and over here it shows that once again, in rats, it has the ability to alleviate type 2 diabetes. Um, and so there's that. So, what I recommend for people, I would recommend this as a lifestyle. So, when you go to the supermarket, just buy some mushrooms on a consistent basis and rotate them around. Why? Because when you rotate things, your body doesn't get used to it, and your body will demand it on a more regular basis. You can't eat the same thing over and over and over. Um, there's two sides of this. If you eat the same thing over and over, your body will become very efficient in digesting it. However, the flip side is if you eating the same thing over and over and over, your body becomes less um stimulated by it each time, just like alcohol. If you keep on drinking alcohol, your body is going to need more of it. But by rotating or having a good mixture, this will be a good thing. So I strongly recommend for people, in order to be more aware of cancer. So if cancer runs in your family, and please do not take this as medical advice and take this as a uh, for entertainment and educational value. So talk to your doctor about this. But for people who are always eating things like pizza, pasta, sugar in their diet, and this is a regular thing, and you have people in your family who have cancer, these are the people that I need to start thinking about cleaning a lot of the sugar out of their diet and start replacing it with mushrooms on a consistent basis. And I always recommend, bringing the packed lunch is economical and much more healthier, because these types of food are not really readily available to the general public. So one thing I do is I cook with grass-fed butter, and so here's a quick recipe to how I would eat mushrooms. I would throw some butter with chopped garlic, throw it in there, melt it down. Then I would throw maybe two different types of mushrooms, um, and start cooking them. And then towards the end, you can throw things like uh, onions and chives as a base, and separately cook some grass-fed meat with it. And eating it like that, you're keeping it ketogenic up to the most part, and eating a ketogenic diet with good proteins and good fats, and the grass-fed meat source will give you a good balance of omega-3s, which is good for the brain. And but also in this regards, there will be increased immune system. There was a study done in, I believe, in Korea, South Korea, about what omega-3s did for mice with cancer. One group was being fed non-grass-fed fats, and versus omega-3s and omega-6s. These rats were being fed corn, or I forget what the source of the omega-3s were, but one thing that they found was that cancer was growing faster for rats that was consuming omega-6s, things like corn and grain. Whereas the mice with cancer that was being fed more omega-3s, I think it was like chia, if I remember correctly, because chia is high in omega-3s, and the cancer was growing smaller from it. I think this is one way to starve out cancer, and that would be like an anti-cancerous meal that you guys can consume on a regular basis. All right. Having said this, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you next week on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.